I wanted to make a few comments as well, adding to the ones I said previously, that clearly I wanted to see some rates set tonight. Not that I agree with them, but we're getting further and further into the hole. Even if we set the rates tonight, it will be July before we can charge them, and we can end up at the end of this year with a huge bill. So even though the rates may not be justified, I'd like to see them set tonight. The second thing is, I also believe that we should be charging more for green cans in excess of 2. I think we have to work on a cost basis, and I've had many residents from people with less than 1 acre lots say, we believe that, you know, we're subsidizing the people with big lots. I saw somebody today in Lindenwood that had about 12 green cans out of that. And in my mind, you know, that's fine as long as we're charging for them. So I would propose that we charge somewhere in the region of $5 for additional green can, so that we are not subsidizing the other, that people who have more than 2 cans are not being subsidized by the others. And frankly, in the summertime, I have 4 cans, so but I'd be more than happy to pay that additional $5.
Mayor, could I make some comments just to kind of backs that up a little bit and maybe addresses some of Councilmember McKeithen's concerns. I'm the first one to say that between Mike Kashawagi, who ran the City of Sacramento's waste program for waste haulers, I ran the City of 140,000's trash, and Diane's probably the best analyst I've ever worked with. I'm the first one to say that there's a lot of holes that we weren't able to shore up in the rate variance costs. So, having said that, I believe you're correct. We're falling about $50,000 a month behind every month that we don't, on a linear basis, every month that we don't set some rate. And based on Prop 218, we have about 3.5 months with all the things we have to do to set the new rates. Now, I'll bad news you one more time, is that means we'll lost 6 months of rates this year. So we're probably going to come back to you, even if you do set the rates at whatever, and shore up, we have to account for the 6 months that were lost this year, where the rates are artificially low because we're paying at the old rate. Whether you believe they're artificially low or not, they're probably going to pencil out that's something higher than what we're currently paying. And the reason that that slide was up there, that was the one slide that accounted for the $334,000 that's owed to Allied, although it's not been audited yet, we won't know that till August, September, but it shores up probably your best guess of taking care of where we're at. Now, what you can do after that and options or wherever you set the rate is, oh, the other thing, and the city attorney reminds me, that wasn't a willy-nilly guess, that actually was established by HF&H, so we're not pulling a number out of the thin air. We can substantiate it and for very little effort move forward, have HF&H do what they need to do along with the city attorney and get this back to you as fast as we can, so this isn't extended past July 1. If the council wanted a scientific survey of what services people do want or they're becoming accustomed to, there's a better way to do that than sending a postcard out. We can certainly do that if you want us to. And contained within the Recology contract, we're allowed the opportunity to ask them to bid different services. Every other week service, the elimination of food, seems to be a lot of the contract. And I'm not suggesting you do or don't do any of those things. I just want you to know that you can do them.
I would also add that in the Recology contract, they can be fined for poor service, and substantial fines for poor service. And one of the suggestions I have made today is that we set up a special telephone number in Atherton, so that people that don't get their cans picked up in time can call this number, leave their name, the address, a short message is what it is, and then once we get all these messages, one way or the other, we can go back to Recology to fine them substantial amounts for those pickups, because there have been a lot of complaints about the service. Just as John Ruggiero has talked about, a lot of complaints that things are not picked up in time, they're not picked up till 8 o'clock at night, really bad. So I don't know if we want to do that or not, but that would be one of my suggestions. So where do
It's
we
a
go?
substantial fine. I think it's like $400.
There needs to be a notification of Recology, although Recology does have the computers in their trucks, and they talked to us about that they're keeping track of everything, what sites they hit, etc. So it would be nice if we could get a report out of them. I think that they're due to put a report out. If I remember right, it's the first is due out after 3 months. So perhaps in our next council meeting, we could ask Recology to come back and give us a report on how the service has been, how they've performed against the service levels, etc.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to add to that. I think it's very important that we take an active part on the South Bay Waste Management Board.
Yes.
We haven't had presence on there all the
That's
time,
right.
and I
We
think it's
will-
very, very important that we have somebody.
I will be appointing a new member to that board.
Is our phone there? Can I, to the chair, make one? So, I guess in regards to the trucks with the arms that go like this, you know, to me, it looks like it's a mechanical piece that is gonna fail. And I've seen the guys get out of their truck and literally try to put the cart in these wiggly arms. So I don't know if you've had any experience or any breakdowns from these trucks. It just, it just seems so unwieldy. So I don't know what kind of, history that these trucks that I can just see have had in performance, but I can just see that this is a maintenance nightmare. I don't know if you've experienced any of that, but it just seems like they're knocking carts over because they're not placed far enough apart. So that's just.
That's why the workman's comp is.
The workman's comp is so high. No, yeah, but the other trucks don't like that at all. But anyway, and the chart that's on our staff report, the rate chart, Mayor.
Yeah.
The rates that the Environmental Programs Committee recommended on December 15th, that was based on information that we had received before the rates, essentially went up so high. So I think if the rates were at that level, it would be almost acceptable.
Well, we've got to get moving here, so I would recommend that we approve the rates that our manager, interim city manager, John Danielson says tonight, recognizing that none of us really agree with him, but this hole that we're digging for ourselves, it really bothers me. So I would like to make a motion that we accept these rates. You can put the slide up again so that everybody sees what they are. And then we will go ahead, as far as I'm concerned, on the basis of finding out what these costs really are. And hopefully we'll be able to adjust them. But at the moment, we're already in the hole, as John says, $50,000 a month. So I'll make a motion that we approve those rates.
Including the green?
Including the additional $5 for every green can over 2. Kind of how it's set.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple points of procedure under Prop 218. As you know, the last time we met, that was the actual noticed meeting that would have allowed us to impose those rates at that time. Since the council did not take any action at that time, we would need to renotice the rates that were studied and introduced. Changing rates, as I mentioned last meeting, if you may recall, will require a new study to substantiate those change rates, which would further push back your timeline. So if the council's, what I'm hearing from the council is accurate, that time is of the essence. Changing rates would push back the time even further. That time period in general is once the city manager receives your direction, there will need to be a new 45-day notification period. You will then have to bring back an ordinance per the Health and Safety Code to introduce the rates. And then at the follow-up meeting, you will adopt that ordinance, or you will be asked to adopt that ordinance, and then that ordinance will set the rates, and those rates will be effective 30 days after adoption of the ordinance.
What rates can we approve tonight?
You can approve it without the $5 on the green can,